Hello everyone, my name is Sarah and I'm here today to discuss Scrumban. First we're going to do a brief overview. So what is Scrumban? Scrumban is a hybrid agile framework that blends the structure and planning discipline of Scrum with the visual workflow and flexibility of Kanban. It was developed to give teams a more adaptable approach that still maintains organization and clarity. The focus is on continuous improvement and efficiency using visual boards and flow-based work management. Overall, Scrumban helps teams respond to change more easily while still keeping work predictable and transparent. The origins of Scrumban. So Scrumban emerged because many teams found that Scrum's fixed sprints and structured ceremonies were too rigid for their day-to-day work. Teams needed a system that allowed more flexibility, quicker adjustments, and better visualization of workflow. Its creation was influenced by three major approaches. The first being Scrum for structure and organization, the second being Kanban for flow, visualization, and WIP limits. The third being lean manufacturing for reducing waste and improving efficiency. The framework was first formally described by Corey Lattis in 2009, who presented Scrumban as an evolutionary step combining Scrum and Kanban.
On this slide, we're looking at some of the core ideas behind Scrumban. One of the biggest concepts is visualization. Just like Kanban, the entire workflow is displayed on a board so the team can instantly see what's happening. Another key principle is the pull-based system. That means work isn't pushed onto people. Instead, team members pull in new tasks only when they actually have the capacity. This ties directly into WIP limits, or work in progress limits, which prevents the team from juggling too many things at once and getting overwhelmed. Scrumban also encourages planning only when it's needed, rather than scheduling rigid sprint planning meetings on a fixed schedule. And finally, there's a strong focus on continuous improvement. Teams regularly reflect on what's working, analyze cycle times, and make small adjustments to keep the workflow efficient. Now let's take a look at the workflow and rules in Scrumban. Scrumban uses a Kanban-style workflow to visualize how tasks move from start to finish. A common setup includes stages like backlog, ready, in progress, review or testing, and done. This structure helps the team clearly see where each task is and where bottlenecks might be forming. For example, if too many tasks get stuck in progress, it signals that we may need to reduce our workload or adjust our work in progress limits. One of the strengths of Scrumban is that it doesn't force strict Scrum roles. You can use roles like product owner or Scrum master if it helps, but the framework doesn't require it. Teams have the flexibility to decide who handles what responsibilities based on what works best for them, whether that's managing the board, prioritizing tasks, or coordinating reviews. This adaptability is what makes Scrumban useful for teams that want structure without as much formality. Their workflow stays visual and easy to follow, while responsibilities can shift as needed depending on the project. Another important part of Scrumban workflow is that planning happens on demand rather than at fixed sprint intervals like in Scrum. That means teams pull new work only when they have the capacity, which leads to steadier flow and fewer interruptions.
Scrumban functions as a flexible framework offering guidance rather than strict rules, which lets teams adapt to their specific workflow needs. It maintains enough structure to support predictable planning, but allows execution to remain flexible as priorities shift. This balance makes Scrumban especially useful in dynamic or evolving work environments, where teams must respond quickly to change without losing organization or clarity. Scrumban is widely used in software development, especially for teams handling both new features and ongoing maintenance. It fits well in IT operations where work arrives continuously and priorities can shift quickly. Marketing teams use Scrumban to manage campaigns, content cycles, and fast-changing workloads. It also supports research environments where tasks are exploratory and timelines may be unpredictable. Service and maintenance team benefits from its focus on steady flow and quick response to incoming requests.
Next, I'd like to discuss artifacts and practices. The Kanban board is the central artifact providing a visual representation of work at every stage. Teams also maintain backlog and ready queues to organize tasks and manage workflow efficiently. Rituals are optional. Some of these can include planning on demand when the ready column is low, retrospectives to evaluate workflow and performances, daily stand-ups, which are not mandatory but can be used if helpful. Key metrics tracked include cycle time and flow efficiency, helping teams identify bottlenecks and improve overall performance. And then these are just some of our key resources that we used. Thank you.